Hi, welcome to Indian Recaps. In the beginning of the story, we see Trish and Four climbing an abandoned building. They arrive at the top and discuss if they see something beyond the Chicago city walls. Trish believes she sees something past the walls, and both she and Four share in a brace. Suddenly, they are interrupted by a broadcast of Evelyn, warning citizens not to venture outside the walls and that a trial is soon to begin for people who betrayed the city. Later, Trish asks Ford to get some supplies for her. Ford claims it is impossible to obtain the amount of items but still promises to deliver the item requested. Trish, Christina and Ford are greeted by Peter, who they ignore. They come across Johanna, who tells Trish that her place is with the city. Trish refuses, stating she doesn't want to make any rules. Johanna counters by saying that real leaders are called up by a necessity and that the people of the city neither. The trial for former Dauntless leader Max begins. Max addresses the crowd, apologizing for his past failure and promising a pursuit of honesty for the future of the city. Max is given a truth serum and he admits that he felt people to be nothing more than a sheep and should be eliminated if they resist their shepherd. From this all thing, crowd became very angry. Johanna silenced the crowd, reminding them that the former leader is now gone and that the people shouldn't keep her spirit alive. But now, from the permission of the Evelyn, Max has gotten right on in the crowd. Johanna expresses the disgust and leaves the proceedings, while the crowd boos her as she exists. Sometime later, Four and Trish discuss leaving the city, but Trish states that she can't leave without trying. The next day, Walter, who is nothing but a four, takes Caleb away from the trial, but are stopped outside by some guards. Walter pretends to deal with the Caleb and guards walks away. Walter tells Caleb to thank Trish for his rescue, and she states it to be something one should do for a family. As they three dive away, Peter pulls over and forces them to let him join them in the escape. The group dives to one of the gate and Walter is questioned by a guard about Caleb. The guard demands to see some paperwork, but Christina appears with the necessary document. Now gate is open and they escape. But now all that guard figure out that Walter and his friend showed a fake paperwork, and suddenly they started following them. Trish and the group gear up and Walter leads the group to go over the wall. Christina is shocked by an electric fence on the top. Trish goes back down to disable it, while Walter covers Trish for the oncoming guards. They all move past the fence. One of friend of the Trish is fatally wounded by Edgar, but now the group leaves her behind. On the other side of the wall, Walter leads the group and they come to see a war-torn expanse. Caleb explained that the soil was radioactive in the last years due to the dirt color. The group continue on as it begins to rain. They take shelter in an abandoned building and Christina ponders if there really is any life beyond the walls. After the storm, Caleb hears something behind them, but now Edgar, who is nothing but a guard, everyone run as fast defend the group. Edgar pursues them in his vehicle, but he is stopped as army appear out of the thin air to protect Trish and her friends. The group is greeted and taken away. All of them approach the new city and are astounded by a technology. Trish is greeted by unknown persons who escorts them to be discontinued. Inside, they all instructed to burn her old clothes and process through discontamination. All of them receives a identification marks and a comfortable clothes. After this, they reunited with everyone and Christina notices everyone's ID mark is different. The lights turn off and they are introduced to the Bureau of Genetic Welfare. They are shown a past mistake of humans who try to make all the humans' genome and cause great divides in humanity. Walter appears and asks everyone to follow him as he explains life inside the Bureau. Walter informs that Chicago was an experiment, the main focus point of the Bureau, and that they are celebrities to people in the Bureau. Inside the Bureau, Trish asks for his opinion on their current situation. He wants to find out more about their new home and Trish asks for him to give things a chance. Walter interrupts them to bring Trish to a director of the Bureau. Trish to be scanned and brought up to see the director. Walter rushes outside to see where she is being bought and watches her leave. Trish expresses her amazement at the world outside Chicago and Walter gives her the scope of how big the world is, highlighting that most cities are like Chicago Chicago except for Providence. They arrive and Walter leaves Trish to meet the director David. He recognizes her about how he watches her grown from the birth and how she thinks it's a miracle. She asks about Chicago and then David says he intends to restore order to rescue the damaged who are living there. He explained that the Bureau goal was to help heal the human genome naturally over time in Chicago. He also tells Trish that she is the only one who has ever had a pure human genome in Chicago. David goes on to explain that the answer to the council and that he will bring her to Providence to meet them and show them the result of the Chicago experiment. Later that night, Trish talks to Walter about her day and Walter asks if she trusts David. Walter looks at their ID mark for a moment and they embrace. The next day, Trish is taken to see David again by Walter and For is greeted by Anita. Trish asks Dave why nobody else can go upstairs like she can and he says it's one of the council rule. He reminds her that being different isn't a bad thing and goes to study her DNA. Elsewhere, Caleb and Peter follows Rihanna who assigned them to a part of the surveillance team. Peter protects the assignment but soon caves in and does his job. Caleb adjusts quickly to the surveillance technology while Walter is geared up to be a part of the Bureau military. He tries out his new gear and begins training with her drone. But now Caleb spies on Evelyn and Johanna having a conversation and sees how Evelyn traps Johanna. Johanna counters Evelyn with her soldiers and now they're doing a deadly fight.